So I looked around for the next game to review and I spotted it in the depths of Steam. It had a cool name that was also the name of my favorite Nine Inch Nails album. The game's setup reminded me of System Shock 2 with a lone explorer facing the unknown in an isolated space station. The slick environmental design presented in the trailer made the idea of playing the game even more appealing. With all these factors in mind, I was eager to review Downward Spiral Horus Station. Unfortunately, I set my expectations too high. Though the game captures the spirit of desolation, it really leaves a lot to be desired. Downward Spiral primarily has you playing as an explorer of the derelict Horus Station. It's a first-person shooter with a light focus on puzzles. The obvious selling point is the game's zero-gravity mechanic. The game has you mainly traveling through the empty sectors of the station with your grappling hook and airgun. Downward Spiral also allows you to push yourself against walls to get around, but I hardly used that feature after getting the grappling hook. Even though the tools are pretty neat, they're also on the slow side. Movement was a real pace killer, but it added a new experience that stuck out to me. It's probably even better in VR, but I don't have one of those headsets, so it doesn't really matter here. The game has very little story at the forefront besides vague instructions about restoring power to the station and destroying the core. There are little details scattered about, but I found very little worth pondering over. Regardless, I did enjoy the sense of unraveling a story through the environment rather than being outright told. There are times the story abruptly transports the player to a mysterious desert with little context. If anything, it just added more to my confusion. Honestly, I'm tired of indie games going for all this minimalism. I saw it in Forma 8, Zero North Zero West, and even Solus and the White Winter. After all was said and done, Solus and the White Winter didn't even compel me enough to deserve a video review. Anyway, even though I was lukewarm about the story, the environmental design left a much better impression on me. I'll be frank, Downward Spiral looks great. It has a sterile visual design that's both a blessing and a curse. The environments look sleek and futuristic, adding an immersive quality to the experience. However, it's so clean that there's little to really be startled with. Oftentimes I was just nonchalantly floating around the station looking for a way to progress. Even the enemies are on the bland side. They're just these simple security robots with very little going for them. And to top it all off, the checkpoint system is way too forgiving. There are respawn locations all over the place, so dying doesn't really set you back all that much. Also, it felt way too easy to die. The speedy enemies can come at you from any angle and all you can do is kill them before they kill you. You move slower than they do, and it's like you're playing a senile old astronaut. On the game's medium difficulty, I was sent back to a respawn chamber only after a few hits. Finally, there are annoying insta-kills that are just plain awful. All these little issues add up, creating a gameplay experience that I'd hesitate to recommend. Luckily, it's fun to blow up hordes of flying Roomba. So the combat's iffy, but how's the rest of the gameplay? Well, it's both slow and simple. The game throws a couple of puzzle sections every so often. However, I'd hesitate to call them puzzles. They're more like sections where you just find a key and then use it somewhere within the station. Searching for keys is mundane, and is further compounded by the previously mentioned slow movement speed. There was one sequence that I'd consider pretty neat, where you'd connect substations onto the main station. Even so, it was on the confusing side if you weren't paying close enough attention. This got me stuck for a while as I was just focusing on the timer screen to the right of the puzzle, and I was curious to see what would happen if I just waited for it to count down to 0. Anyway, it's a mostly straightforward, explorative experience with little tension and little reward. Sure, it's a calming experience, but it failed to genuinely intrigue me. Downward Spiral is a game that really left me feeling conflicted. It ticked a lot of boxes for me right out of the gate. However, the game drops the ball on execution. I was somewhat disappointed, but the game did prove one thing to me. It proved that Third Eye Studios is worth keeping an eye on. The scale and presentation of the game is already quite impressive, as well as their unique zero-gravity mechanic. I'm honestly impressed by what the group is capable of, and I'm eager to see what they make next. Hopefully next time, they focus more on crafting an engaging experience rather than focusing on minimalism. Thanks for watching the review. If you enjoyed it, feel free to like the video and consider subscribing to my channel. I wrote the original review for DarkStation and a review copy was provided. If you want more, here are some of my other videos. Also, in case anyone's interested, I'll throw a link to my Solus in the White Winter review in the description. Anyway, I'll see you all next time when I review some random game that looks cool in some superficial way and I end up getting disappointed.